Hey guys, it's me again. It is a Friday. I've just uploaded the template review, and so now I'm gonna record my review for Red Velvet's new album, the ReVe Festival, Day 1. Red Velvet is a Korean pop group assembled by SM Entertainment consisting of 5 members, Irene, Seulgi, Wendy, Joy, and later on Yeri. One of Red Velvet's more innovative characteristics is their dual concept, which is that their music and styling often fit into either their red side or their velvet side. Their red releases usually consist of more bright and bubbly pop music, whereas the velvet releases introduce more mature and smooth R&B music. Because of this dual concept and many other reasons, they're best known in the K-pop sphere to be one of, if not the most experimental groups in mainstream K-pop. Their debut single, Happiness, is probably the best example of this. While I myself don't really like it all that much, it's a fairly bold and risky first single for a group under such a major and successful label, especially being SM's first girl group in half a decade. However, the high risk seemingly paid off for Red Velvet, as Happiness ended up being the second most viewed K-pop video worldwide in the month of its release. With the addition of Yeri and the release of their second comeback and first mini-album, Ice Cream Cake, Red Velvet was officially there, winning their first music show trophy weeks after the single came out. Their first full-length album, The Red, and its main single, Dum Dum, are arguably what brought them to a way bigger overseas audience, immediately receiving tons of positive reviews from American critics, and peaking at number 3 on the Billboard World Songs chart the week it came out. The past 2 years, though, have undoubtedly been Red Velvet's most successful period thus far. In 2017, they released a mini-album, an EP, and a full-length album in the same year, and all 3 were incredibly successful, the most popular single being Red Flavor, which was considered by some to represent the entire year of 2017. In 2018, they released a reissue of the previous year's Perfect Velvet entitled The Perfect Red Velvet, with the addition of the single Bad Boy. Bad Boy is perhaps their most popular song to this day, and for good reason. It's fierce, it's sleek, it's smooth, and above all, it's catchy. They also achieved their first sweep of all of South Korea's major music charts at the same time later that year with their summer single Power Up, placing first on both daily charts and real-time charts. My favorite single of theirs, 2016's Russian Roulette, is, in my opinion, a perfect equilibrium between experimental and conventional. It has a pretty odd chord progression for a lead single, and the synth-pop flavor it has is definitely not common within the realm of K-pop comebacks. At the same time, though, it has an incredibly catchy chorus, and the vocal melodies get so easily wedged into my memory after listening to the song, in a way that not many other K-pop songs do. The thing about their songs that is apparent to any longtime Red Velvet fan is that their releases are always unpredictable. Their second most recent Korean single, Really Bad Boy, is a good example of this, as it followed up a lot of very accessible songs with a less gen-pop friendly sound. This caused it to get mixed reactions, despite their reputation to fans for unpredictability in the sound and mood of their releases. This new EP, the ReVe Festival Day 1, is no exception to that unpredictability. This EP was Thanks for the help. Billed as the first in a series, which is indicated by its name, this EP was announced at the beginning of the month and teased on social media, with all the teasers being centered around the title of the lead single, Simsalabim. All of the B-sides were previewed leading up to this EP's release, and going into it I had fairly high expectations after hearing these previews, as they were all solid, and some of them even had me hooked on what little I had to process of these songs. They were all pretty different, but the common denominator was pretty easy to recognize. They were all, in some way, electropop. This is pretty exciting because, while most of their music has elements of electropop, this was their first release that seemed to solely consist of it. The thing about this album that makes it stand out from the others, in my opinion, though, is that the title track is the worst song on the album. And that's not to say that it's bad. It's certainly an enjoyable song, and I revisited it a couple times since it came out, but it's fairly inconsistent with its quality. The song itself goes through multiple abrupt style changes, which granted is a thing I'm very much attracted to in music, but in this case it also means some of the sections are not too enjoyable, the most apparent being the chorus. The word Zimzalabim does not exist, but if it did exist, this song made me realize that I would absolutely hate the sound of it. The chorus, which is just them saying Zimzalabim over and over on top of a mediocre trap-ish beat, is only easy to sit through because of how short it is compared to a lot of the other sections of the song, and at the very least the rest of the song makes up for how the chorus is to me. The pre-chorus is really pleasant, with a pretty bouncy vocal melody on top of a punchy and bright instrumental, and Irene's rap section was also really fun, although I'm a bit disappointed that Yeri barely got a rap section, which seemed to be sacrificed for her asking if we were ready, which Wendy already did in the intro. So I think it's pretty established that we're ready at this point. The bridge is absolutely gorgeous, with Joy, Seulgi, and Wendy taking turns vocally snapping over an elegant piano section. The dance break is also a pretty guilty pleasure-y section of the song for me, because it's pretty basic all things considered, but I honestly love the melody the bassy synth section plays through that whole part, and the kicks are super punchy and exciting. The song Bing Bing is a song I didn't expect to like nearly as much as I did, because something about the preview turned me off, but it's actually a pretty great song overall, with a groovy bass guitar persisting throughout, and the chorus, which is fairly repetitive, is still pretty charming to me, and for some reason the vocals during the chorus remind me of some sort of Tamil song that would make an appearance on Maya's Matangi or something. Milkshake is the song that I pretty much knew I was gonna like as soon as I heard the preview, mainly because the chorus melody and the really nice chromatic harmony that goes on in the background, or foreground, I don't know, of the song. The song is also causing a bit of a stir because the lyrics are weird. The song is supposedly super innocent and cute in its native language, but when translated to English, there are a lot of apparently unintentional innuendos, such as, with one mouthful it's so obvious, white foam on the lips, ah yeah, a hard frozen taste, and I want to swallow it in one gulp when it bursts. It reminds me of that Sophie song where the lyrics are literally about soda, but it's obviously just a metaphor for giving head.
You've got to stir that mixture, make it really thick, let it drip all over. Now give the spoon a lick. If you need that something, and that's really what you want, shake, shake, shake it up and make it this.
LP is a lavishly produced and very clearly trap-influenced poppy song that has occasional bouts of elevator music, which is not really a bad thing, but it's definitely not what you would expect at a song like this, at least if not for the elevator music melody persisting in the background the whole time. Parade is perhaps the least memorable song to me, which certainly doesn't make it bad. It's a fun and energetic song with a pretty well-produced instrumental, but in the grand scheme of Red Velvet's discography, it stands out the least, and considering how new the rest of the songs on this EP are in comparison, it makes Parade a bit harder to revisit. The best song on the album though, and I won't take no for an answer on this, is Sunny Side Up. From the day I heard that preview, I was obsessed with this song. This song could be my favorite K-pop song of 2019. I'll have to check what came out in 2019 to make sure, but the only contender I can think of off the top of my head is Twice's Breakthrough, which is fantastic, but I'll leave that for when the mini album comes out. Sunny Side Up is super solid from the start, with slightly sultry vocal performances from Wendy and Irene punctuating a simple but exciting intro. Then, the triplets. As if they had my very heart and soul in mind when writing the song. Joy, Wendy, and Yeri took turns singing in triplets. The chorus, which is also what was previewed initially, is stellar. The vocal melody almost sounds like it's in an Arabic scale, and it sounds really cool layered with this halftime reggae-esque instrumental and one very specific steel drum roll before each chorus that I absolutely adore. The bridge, while not particularly impressive, serves its purpose very well, and still connects the previous chorus with a build-up to the final chorus in a remarkable way. Sunny Side Up, it's so good. It's so good. Overall, the ReVe Festival Day 1 isn't flawless. In fact, in its title track particularly, it has a few glaring issues that are hard to ignore, and are a bit harder to get used to than some issues I've had with other comebacks in the past. However, its highs greatly outweigh its lows, and I think at its core, Day 1 is a great EP, and a promising start to what I hope will be a very memorable series. It's a really enjoyable and enthusiastic release, and it shows potential for this EP series to stand out greatly within Red Velvet's discography. I give it 7.5 Afro Wendy's out of 10.
Hell yeah. Hey guys, we talking about K-pop. So basically, Red Velvet, they don't even know what Red Velvet is, but they're Korean. They don't speak English. So they had me invent the name. Okay, I went to Korea to pop some hoes, and first hoes I met, they called themselves
바다에서 물고기,
which translate to fishes in the ocean. And I'm like, boy, that sounds terrible. And thus I invented Red Velvet. If you're a Red Velvet fan, it's because of me.
Okay. Their name in Korean is just Red Velvet.